Hello and welcome to the Hoopettes Podcast. It's Mike Klinzing here with my co-host Jason Sunkel tonight, and we are going to do I believe this is a new exercise for us that we have not tried. A little
Well,
gimmick,
yeah, a little gimmick. We've done little bits and pieces of it, Mike.
yeah, but
And
never like this. So this is a mid-season playoff prediction, I
playoff
guess we're gonna
bonanza.
go.
If the
Yeah,
playoffs were to start today, what would happen?
if the playoffs were to start today and the seeds were exactly as they are at 10:46
If they ran an
p.m.
in-season
Eastern time.
tournament the right way, Mike.
There you go, I guess. Although we might predict it differently. It was a one game outcome versus a 7 game series. But nonetheless, what we're going to try to do is go through, look at the standings to as of tonight, and predict the play-in games, then the first round series, then the second round series, then the conference finals, and then the NBA finals. Most of our analysis will take place in the play-ins and the first round, where we'll talk about the teams and kind of where they are right now and how we see them as things progress going through the playoffs. We'll have to
And
take into
and these are
account
all
injuries.
hypotheticals too, Mike.
They are all hypotheticals. We'll have to take into account injuries and health and how we want to factor that into our eventual predictions, whether we want to look at where the teams are right at this very moment or where we think they might be come April. But I will leave that to your interpretation as well as mine. So I
Well,
know you have an update on the wins total,
oh,
which is, I think, an embarrassment for me if I'm
well,
not if I'm
so
sensing the joy in your voice.
okay, so 2 weeks ago I was up 17. Last week I was up 25. It has now gone to 32, Mike.
Oh, that's brutal. Brutal.
Listen, the Lakers until tonight had won four in a row. Okay. Um, Memphis has continued to play well. I know the Cavs have kind of had a bad week, but they still won a game. Washington has continued to suck. The Rockets winning, and this was done, by the way, Mike. This was done at 8 tonight, so it's not like the most reflected, or not done at 8. This was done at 9, so like there were lots of games going on, so it's not like completely up to date, but it's as close as I was going to get before we recorded the podcast. Let's just leave it at that, Mike. And I know the
Yeah, the
Rockets won tonight, so I definitely got
Rockets.
another one.
Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's any chance of me catching you over the course of the 4 games that are being played tonight. So I don't
Yeah,
think we have anything. I don't think we have anything to worry
yeah.
about.
But
So
anyways, so that's where we are now, Mike, and we can. I think maybe the All-Star break, that we could like reflect on what was the biggest gain, like what was our
yeah.
best picks and what was our worst choices.
Well,
And
you had the default. I guess you had the choice at the very last pick. I think you had the choice between the Warriors wins and the
and
Rockets
I feel like
wins.
if we went back, Mike, if we went back and listened, I feel like I was hemming and hawing on that, and I just went with the Rockets. I feel like
You just wanted to stick me with the Warriors. That was what happened, if I
I think that
recall
I feel like
correctly.
that I feel like that's right. I might have to go back and listen and verify that, but I feel like I didn't want anything to do with the Warriors. But
Well, you
that's
definitely made the right choice. Let's put it that way.
I mean it's a nine swing. It would be a 23 point lead still at this point. So I would I would have gladly taken that as well. So
I'm sure you would.
all right, so we're gonna start in the East, Mike. Is that where we're gonna go here?
Yeah, let's
We get,
start.
let's
Yeah,
do.
let's start east.
All right, so it's the first. Our first thing we're gonna talk about is the play-in tournament. So we're gonna talk about the play-in, and we're gonna start with the Eastern Conference. Right now, we're gonna start with the 7-8 game, Orlando Detroit. There's no way we're not picking Orlando for this, right? I mean, there's no way I can pick against Orlando at this point, right?
Orlando 2-8 in their last 10, buddy.
Yeah, and that's with Paulo back too, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and Franz, they both back.
Oh, are they falling apart? Are you taking
Jalen
JB Bickerstaff? You've seen him coach in the
Jalen
playoffs against
Jalen
Orlando. They
Suggs
did beat Orlando.
Suggs is day to day, but both Paulo and Franz are back. And
How many games
now
has Franz been back?
I don't know. He's been back about a week, I think.
Okay. This is Mike. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been fully entrenched with basketball at the middle school level. That I have not paid much attention to the NBA other than the Cavs and the occasional 10:30 game.
There you go. Well,
So
Orlando has not been playing well. Let's just leave it at that. Although I do think that when you look forward to a potential playoff matchup with the Pistons, although the Pistons are much improved and we saw them play the Cavs last night and the Cavs kind of stuck it to them and stepped up a little bit defensively, I do think that if you are a fan of the Detroit Pistons, you have to be encouraged, at least to some degree, by what you've seen. And the number one thing for Detroit this year has just been the ascendance of Cade Cunningham and how good he's been. And it now appears like he's going to be a guy that you could build. I don't know about a championship team, but certainly he could be the best player on eventually a very, very good team. And whether he's one of the guys that can potentially lead your team to a championship, that I'm certainly not sure of. But he certainly is demonstrating that you're going to be able to build a really good team around him with him as the focal point. And I know we've made fun of JB Bickerstaff on this podcast numerous times, but he has done a good job of.
Apparently, he's lost some weight too, Mike.
There you go.
Did you see that? Did you see that post game interaction last night?
I did not.
With Darius Garland. Darius Garland like came over and gave him a hug, and then he looked at him and was like, "You lost some weight." Like,
there you go.
Giving him a compliment. So or something along those lines. So
less stressful to be coaching the Pistons than the Cavs, I guess. But nonetheless, JB's done a good job there in Detroit of getting them going in the right direction. Similar to what he did for the Cleveland Cavaliers in his first year or two, is just set the foundation for what it means to be a professional basketball team and create a defensive identity and just basically put some organizing principles in place that have helped Detroit to improve. But as you look forward, certainly Orlando has not played up to the capability that they have with these two guys now back on the floor.
There's no way Orlando's in the play-in. I'm just going to say this now. Miami's going to be out of the play-in.
I would guess that that's the way that it would probably finish up. But for the purposes of this exercise, I think that you have to look at Orlando and say Orlando would win this 7.
We're going to slot them into the 7 seed. That's going to be an interesting 2-7 matchup. I'm looking forward to it later today.
Yes,
all right.
Yes, we're going to slot Orlando into the 7. They're going to miss Mo Wagner, who's out for the season with the torn ACL. But I do think that they still, when they're at full strength, that team is a monster defensively with the size that they can throw out there. And offensively, you got to figure right now they're just kind of stumbling and trying to find their footing. So, yes, let's slot Orlando into the 7 seed.
All right. Now we're going to look at the 9-10 matchup, the Atlanta Hawks versus the Chicago Bulls. The fact that the Chicago Bulls are somehow in the play-in is abysmal because the Chicago Bulls are terrible. Like, they're bad.
So here's the Chicago Bulls question. Is Zach LaVine going to be a member of the Chicago Bulls come April when there's playoff time?
So I think he's traded. The trade deadline is next week, Mike. Is he going to be a member of the Chicago Bulls on Thursday next week? I think the answer is no.
Okay, but then if you say that, where's he going to go?
I don't know. You're asking me that.
Come on, man. Just give me what
Sacramento.
are some teams like who?
Sacramento is going to be on the fire. From what I've been reading, it seems like Sacramento is going to be on the fire sale market.
Okay, but what are?
I don't know. I just said Sacramento because you wanted an answer. So I was giving you one.
I want a legitimate. I want who's a team that could actually use Zach LaVine in the Eastern Conference?
What about Orlando?
Orlando could use Zach LaVine. Milwaukee could use Zach LaVine. To me, those are the two teams in the East that could use Zach LaVine.
Could the Cavs use Zach LaVine? Like, if we can't get Cam Johnson, could you use Zach LaVine?
You could, but I don't know what you'd have to give up to get him. I like Zach LaVine because he's bigger and he gives you at least a little size. Although, again, he's not known for his defensive prowess. So I'm not sure he really solves the issue of the small backcourt. But he does give you size in terms of a guy who can get his own shot and who can score, and obviously is a very, very good spot-up shooter and somebody that could play off the penetration of Mitchell and Garland. So I just don't think that the Cavs are going to be in the business of.
I don't think so either, Mike. I was just asking.
But I think the two teams that would have an interest in him, and again, whether they could give Chicago what they would want, would be Milwaukee and Orlando. And then out west, I think the Lakers are probably a team that could be interested in Zach LaVine. I think the Nuggets could use Zach LaVine. I don't think Denver has enough to be able to get LaVine. The Lakers would have to trade, I think, their 2031 pick and probably Austin Reeves to get Zach LaVine. Does that make sense for them? Does that make them a real title contender? I would say probably not. And then if you look up and down the rest of the league in the West, I don't really think that there's anybody else
The
besides the
Clippers?
Lakers that would no. What are the Clippers? No, the Clippers don't want Zach LaVine. I don't think. I don't know what they would. I guess you could say he plays off Harden, but no, I don't think Zach LaVine is going to go to the Clippers. I think he's likely to stay on the Bulls just because I don't know that anybody can trade. I guess if the Lakers were to give them their 2031 first round pick unprotected and Austin Reeves, that Chicago would probably consider that to get off Zach LaVine's money. But I think Zach LaVine, I think it's more likely than not that he's still on the Bulls come
Okay.
past the trade
All right.
deadline. But
All
who
right.
knows?
So Atlanta, I mean, they're 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 6 in a row. Are we playing them tomorrow? Is that
No,
tomorrow?
we're playing the Heat tomorrow, I
Oh,
think.
good.
Or no,
But
or no, wait.
the Heat
Uh,
tomorrow. The Heat
and
tomorrow, and then Atlanta on Friday.
On Thursday. Wait, let me think. What's today? Today's the 28th. It says
Yeah.
here, I got the schedule right in front of me. They're playing the Hawks on the 30th. Cavs
Okay.
Hawks on the 30th, which would be Thursday.
So they play back to back.
Yeah, back to back.
We're at Miami, and then are we at Atlanta or are we home?
We're at Atlanta.
Oh man, they did this to us again. This whole like back to back night thing. I don't.
Get,
Oh,
get the
wait. Oh,
Atlanta stuff going. All right. So anyway, with the Hawks, Jalen Johnson right now is out with a shoulder. He's been out for a while. I think that his absence has played a fairly decent sized role in Atlanta's
struggles.
backslide from where, again, it looked like as we were coming around to the first of the year that they had, I don't know if turned a corner, but it certainly looked like they were ready to maybe move up to a team that could possibly challenge for that number 6 seed, which right now is kind of, I don't want to say wide open, but you can make a case for a bunch of different teams.
Yeah.
So Atlanta, I mean, I like what they have in terms of, we've talked about it before, sort of the young athletic wings that they have on the roster. And I think when that team's healthy, I mean, clearly I think they're better than the Chicago Bulls, but I mean, I would probably pick Atlanta here by default, and especially if they're able to get their roster healthy, I think they'd probably be in pretty good shape to be able to
Yeah.
advance past the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls do have one bright spot though.
Lonzo Ball dunked.
No, it does involve dunking. It does involve dunking.
Oh, they've got someone in the dunk contest.
Yeah, rookie. What's the guy's name? Buzelis,
Mike,
Mark.
what an
What?
embarrassment! I don't want to get into the dunk. We'll talk about the dunk contest next week because we'll be
No,
close to the.
let's talk about it right now. This is the purpose of going through and talking about all these teams,
Mike, we're never
right?
going to get to the
We
Western
missed
Conference at
we
this rate.
missed
It's 15 minutes and we're still in the play. Come on.
Hey, we're gonna do it, man. We missed our chance to talk Mac McClung when we went for the Orlando Magic. Oh, I forgot he doesn't play for the Orlando Magic. He's
He's
not in the
on the
NBA.
Osceola Magic, right?
He's not in the NBA. How do we keep doing this? Like to continue to
Hey,
roll
well,
this guy
listen,
out who's not
listen.
even in the
He's
league?
won 2 years in a row, Mike. So you got to get him in it, right? Like, if he
I
wants to defend the
guess
crown, so it's embarrassing that we can't find an NBA player to beat him, right?
that is true. I
Like,
will.
like why are we? Why,
I
we
will
can't we can't
listen.
we can't
I'll give
blame
you that.
we can't blame Mac McClung that they're asking him to do this. I mean, honestly, when you think about the dunk contest the last 2 years, he's been he's been a very the only light spot, right?
Yeah,
Like
look, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. But Buzelis has got to be the guy, right? So that's why the Chicago Bulls are all excited. Matas Buzelis, I believe he was the 9th pick in the draft. Anyway, so let's go ahead and pencil in the Atlanta Hawks for the 8th seed.
All right, so then we got the last play. No, not the 8 seed. They got to play the 8. They got to play Detroit.
Oh, I
Mike, come
forgot.
on.
Okay, I
We
forgot
got
about
another
that.
game. This is what I'm talking about. We're 15
Okay.
minutes in, and we're not even done
Sorry.
with the
Okay.
play-in yet.
All right, but we already talked about Detroit and Atlanta, so now we can just make a pick. This is my point. It should move
Okay,
faster
I'm
as
going
we
to
go
take
from round to
Atlanta
round.
because I think they're better.
I agree. I'm going to take Atlanta.
I
I
don't
think
really know that
Atlanta's a
I
better
would
team.
prefer Detroit to win for our purposes of our activity, but I mean, I'm still picking Cavs no matter what. Okay, so now we're looking. Let's look at We'll start with the 1-8 matchup. So Atlanta Cavs, and we've talked at length about the Cavs, and we've even talked a little bit about the Cavs tonight. So I don't know how much we really want to. I know they're in a bit of a funk, but listen, this is what I look at. If we're crowning January champions, then the Indiana Pacers are 8-2. Milwaukee Bucks are 8-2. Okay. The Houston Rockets are 8-2. Oklahoma City 7-3. Phoenix Suns are 8-2 in the last 10. These are the January champions. Okay. The Cavs are 5-5. The Boston Celtics, who are the defending NBA champions, were the 1-2. They're 5-5. I'm not overly concerned. 3 of those losses, the only loss that was bad, was the Oklahoma City loss. Okay. Right. The other 3 losses, Mobley didn't play in 2 of the games. Okoro hasn't played again after getting re-aggravating it. Okay. LeVert hasn't played at all. Okay. I'm not overreacting.
Dean
I'm
Wade is
not.
out.
What? Wait, Dean Wade's out.
Dean
So
Wade is out.
this is my point. Okay. I'm not overreacting, but I do think that if the Cavs can get a trade for Cam Johnson, I do it. I'm just worried. Dean Wade has had knee issues, and it's different knee issues every time. And he's a good defender, but I'm just worried about him being available. Okay. Because he was out in the playoffs last year, right? Like he missed part of the playoffs last year.
Yes,
Correct, right?
he missed a large part of the regular season, I feel like, too. He missed a lot of
Yeah.
games.
So I just don't don't want to rest my laurels on Dean Wade being healthy. And I mean he's replaceable because he's like probably number 7 on the team in value of importance, but defensively he's huge. I just the Cavs I'm not worried. I'm not. I mean there's 37-9. They still have a 5.5 game lead on Boston. And the way that I would also look at it too is, teams are going through this, which this further highlights how crazy the 73-9 Golden State Warriors regular season was. Okay. This just further creates we were joking. There were people talking that, when the Cavs were, I don't know, 23-3 or whatever they were, could they do it? Like they're on pace. They knew you knew a slide was happening at some point. There's just no way. There's no way around it. I mean, and the other thing I want to highlight here, Mike, okay, when I'm looking at teams' records at home across the NBA, okay, everybody's pitiful at home, except for the Cavs and the Thunder. And I know I'm picking the 2 best teams in the NBA by record, okay, but the Cavs are 22-3 at home. Oklahoma City is 19-3 at home. The next best team at home is the Milwaukee Bucks at 16-7. Is the home court advantage going away in the NBA? I mean, 16-7 is still good. I mean, you're 9 games over 500, but the dominating team. I mean, Boston's 15-9 at home. That's bad. That's bad.
There's no real outlier like down in the standings where somebody has a really good home record and then a really poor away record.
No, the Brooklyn Nets are the opposite. They play better not when they're not in New York. They're 9-17 away, and they're 9-17, and they're
5-16 at home.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I mean, they've played more away games, but still, that's in my opinion, that's statistically significant. They've played 4 more games away, and they've won 5 more games away than they have at home. That's statistically significant to me.
There you go. It's still, let's put it this way. Let me just sum up the home away. Ultimately, even if the home court is diminished, I know when you go into a series, you still like to have that seventh game, that one extra game in your back pocket, regardless. So I think the Cavs, despite the recent struggles, as you said, I'm not overly concerned. I do think that they're going to be able to make it through the rest of the regular season and maintain because they've built such a big cushion. I mean, you look at again, they've gone 5-5, and Boston has turned around and gone 5-5, and basically haven't picked up any ground on the Cavs, even though they had a 3-game losing streak and have only won 5 of their last 10. So it's really hard to make up that big of a difference when you're talking about two really good teams. And the only concern that I have coming out of that 3-game losing streak and losing twice to the Rockets, obviously the first game to some degree was, I don't want to say it was a fluke. I don't want to say it was a fluke, but Garland misses all the free throws and he's a 92% free throw shooter. So that seemed rather flukish. But
But that was also after fall. I feel like it was he was off that whole game after the fall, right?
yeah, but still, you expect a 90% free throw shooter in that situation to go up to the free throw line. And if you would have told me, I told you I had kind of a bad feeling when he got fouled. There was something just when he made it, when he got fouled, I was like, man, I don't feel as good as I should with a 90% free throw shooter going to the line. And again, I was surprised he missed 2 out of 3, but I just had a weird feeling as soon as he got fouled that it wasn't as much of a slam dunk as it certainly appeared to be. But I guess my bottom line take coming out of the 3-game losing streak is I still have concerns in a playoff setting that our two best players, scorers, are often Mitchell and Garland, and they're both small guards. Like you saw it at the end of that first Houston game where the possession, I don't know if it was on the same possession that Garland got fouled, because I can't remember if that was off an offensive rebound or what, but Mitchell had the ball at the top of the key and basically drove and ended up taking like a fadeaway, like 17 footer that didn't go in. And then when we got the ball back with 2.8 seconds after the Garland missed free throws, and then Mitchell goes to the corner, catches his, maybe just shoots a wild shot instead of catching it. And when you have 2.8 seconds, he certainly had some time to do something more than just wildly turn from the corner and throw it up there. But it feels like this is something that I've been saying, and I think we've been kind of in agreement that when your go-to guy is 6'1" or 6'2", and look, Mitchell's been incredible. He's been incredible this season. He's been incredible in the playoffs. He's had monster games, but it still feels like when the other team has a guy who's 6'8", or in the case of Giannis, 6'11", or Durant, who's 6'11", or whatever, a guy that has size is much more difficult to contain in a key possession moment trying to generate their own shot than it is with Mitchell and Garland and other small guards. I just don't think they can score as easily as bigger guys. And maybe Mobley is almost there. I certainly don't know that I would feel 100% confident in a possession to win a game 7 that we inbound the ball and give it to Mobley and let him isolate and go to work. I'm not sure how good I feel about that. So that's the one concern I have about the Cavaliers. That being said, Cavaliers versus the Atlanta Hawks in a 1-8 series, I feel pretty confident that the Cavs would take care of business, despite the fact that Atlanta has given us trouble and they're the type of team with an athletic front court that has guys that can put the ball on the floor. That's the type of guys that we have some difficulty with. And as you think about Dean Wade being out or the lack of perimeter defenders at that position, then you have to have a Okoro out there, and offensively in the playoffs, teams tend not to guard him, which is a negative, obviously. So the Cavs definitely have some issues, but I cannot see in a 7-game series the Cavs losing to the 8th-seeded Atlanta Hawks. So let's advance the Cavs to
I agree.
the conference semis.
All right, moving to the Boston Celtics versus the Orlando Magic in our theoretical and hypothetical playoffs. Obviously, as I stated before, Orlando I do not feel will be in the play-in situation, but if in this situation was to occur, we've already talked about Orlando. Listen, Boston's defending champions. They're kind of coasting right now. They're not playing up to their abilities and capabilities. They're going to turn the switch on. Okay, we saw this, right? We saw this from 2014 or 2015 to 2018. There were times when LeBron's Cavs, they were checked in. There were times they were checked out. And I have no doubt in my mind that Boston knows how to turn it on. If Boston was to play Orlando in a 7-game series, there is no way that the Boston Celtics are losing this series. There's just no way. I can't envision it at this moment. Now, 3 months from now, 2.5 months from now, when we're talking, beginning of really, my gosh, it's really only 2 months, really. It's crazy, right? Because the season's ends the second week of April. So I guess 2.5 months. So 2.5 months from now, if Orlando's playing better and then maybe we can talk about a chance. I don't see a chance anywhere that Boston loses a series. I think we have to advance Boston. They're the defending champs for a reason. Okay. They are not the Milwaukee Bucks defending champs that lose in the first round, right? Milwaukee lost in the first round after they won the championship, right?
I think so.
To the Heat.
To
the Heat.
I think yes.
He got hurt
because Giannis was hurt in that series, and then he was hurt the following year as well. So we haven't seen a Milwaukee Bucks team with a healthy Giannis in the playoffs since the title run.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. They lost to the Celtics the year after, right? Didn't they lose to the Celtics when he had that epic 7-game series? That was the year after the title, and then the next 2 years were the years he was injured because he had that 7-game where Tatum had the 48 in Milwaukee in Game 6. That was the year after they won the championship.
Yeah.
So,
okay, you're right. Yeah, but still, regardless, I just don't see Boston losing the series.
No, I don't either. I mean, I think we can talk about the concerns for Boston as we go forward into the next round or two, but I think that there's been a clear drop off in Jrue Holiday's play. Derek White was very, very good for the first month, 6 weeks of the season, and he's dropped off in terms of his shooting since then. Jaylen Brown hasn't been quite to the level that he was playing at last year, and Tatum's arguably been the equal of what he's been for the last few seasons. But this team clearly has the defending champ January malaise at this point. And yeah, do I expect Boston to be a formidable opponent for anybody that they face in the playoffs? Absolutely. And there's no way that this Orlando team, with their struggles to score offensively, and I know they're very, very good defensively, and if they're healthy, they can present some problems for Boston because they have the size to match up with the Celtics. But I just think that the differences between these two teams' offenses is a much wider gap than the difference between the two defenses. I think Boston is capable of turning up their defense to a level that is at least close to, if not equal or better than Orlando. And I don't think Orlando has the same ability to turn up their offense to meet Boston's offense. I guess your only hope for an upset would be that Boston just shoots it horrifically from 3 over the course of the series, but I don't see that happening. So let's go ahead and we're going to advance the Celtics into the conference semis.
All right. So then we're going to look at the 3-6 matchup. The 3-6 matchup. The New York Knickerbockers, winners of the last 4, 7-3 in their last 10, versus the the Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat. Listen, of all, okay, I gotta. Let's address the elephant in the room. Jimmy Butler is a clown. He's a clown. But man, have I loved Kevin Love's Instagram posts? Have you been seeing this?
I have, yes.
Like, how is he getting away with this? This is glorious. He apparently does not like Jimmy Butler very much. Would that be a fair statement?
I think there must be some level of, I'll just call it distaste, maybe. I'm not sure.
I mean, is Kevin Love even playing? Is he getting playing time? Is he like on the floor playing?
I don't think he's playing. I don't think he's playing very much. Let me look.
Is he a buyout candidate, Mike? Can we bring him to Cleveland as a buyout candidate?
I don't think he's a buyout candidate. I would find that hard to believe. But yeah, I mean the Butler thing, look, all you have to do is go back and look at Butler's history in every place that he's been, and basically at some point in his tenure he has become very, very unhappy
He's burned to the
with
ground, right? He's burned to the
yeah,
ground, except for Philly. Except for Philly. That
yeah.
was he didn't
Well,
really
they
build.
cho- they chose to keep Simmons over Jimmy and let him go to Miami, which
I heard someone said that maybe Philly would trade Paul George for Jimmy Butler, and I just started laughing. There's no way Philly would do that, right?
no,
No
there's
way.
no. Yeah, I read that too. Something where it said Joel Embiid was advocating for that trade to be made because he wanted to bring Jimmy Butler
Joel
back.
Embiid.
Yeah,
Joel Embiid. I saw some in his game that he was playing the other day. It said games played 466, games missed in his career 400,
yeah.
and that does
Look,
not
I
include
mean,
playoff games.
if you're Philadelphia and you're taking at this point any advice from Joel Embiid about the future direction of your franchise,
Who
I would say you
who
are
knew who knew who knew James Harden leaving Philly was a bad move? I mean, honestly, right?
bad move for who?
For for Philly.
I guess. I guess. I mean, I'm not sure that I'm not sure that the departure of James Harden is ever bad for your franchise, but and I'm not sure how much the Sixers' demise has to do with that, but I mean, Philly, the fact that we're not talking about Philly in a 10 game or in a 10 team discussion of the Eastern Conference says pretty much all you need to know about the Sixers. Look, the Jimmy Butler thing, he has eventually gotten himself worked up and upset about his contract situation everywhere he's been. And he has not handled it in any way, shape, or form as a professional. The fact that anyone out there who owns a team, is a general manager of a team, would want to bring in 35-year-old Jimmy Butler, who's due to be making 52 million next year if he accepts his player option, or to trade for him and then sign him to some type of extension, which is what you would need to do in order to make him happy. So you're talking about probably a max 3-year extension. So you're looking at paying Jimmy Butler for the remainder of this season and then 3 seasons beyond this one at $50 million per season, approximately. And Jimmy Butler has played over the last couple seasons. He's played maybe 60% of Miami's games over the last 3 seasons in the regular
There's
season.
no there's no way he's played that much. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up. You keep going and I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. So this season he's played 25 out of they've played whatever they've played 45 games. He's played 25 of them. So he's above
Okay.
50% right now. So I think I'm probably close to being right, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, my point is in this whole thing, there is no team that should be talking themselves into Jimmy Butler. If the Phoenix Suns, I guess if you can get off of Bradley Beal's contract and think you bring in a happy Jimmy Butler for half a season, and you think
Okay.
that the Booker, Durant, Butler triumvirate plus the poo-poo platter of players that you have for the rest of the roster in Phoenix is going to be enough to get you to the Western Conference Finals, the NBA Finals. Good luck to you, but there is no way that that's going to happen. There's no way.
I agree, Mike. I just hold on. What's 82 plus 82 plus 45? Hold on. 82 plus. Oh yeah, you were closer, Mike.
What's he played?
70% of the games.
All right. So I was even underestimating. I mean, look, clearly as he ages, he's not going to be playing more or harder in the regular season than he has been for the past 3 years. And I just don't know. This is one of the things that is maddening about professional sports is here you have a guy who at some point in his career has been a malcontent everywhere he's gone, and yet there are still teams that want to bring him in. So I just do not in any way, shape, or form understand this. It makes zero sense to me. And I don't know why any team would even remotely consider bringing in Jimmy Butler, and especially not giving up anything of any value to for him. And then with the idea that then you have to pay him besides, and I mean that's insane. That's absolutely insane. I could see no way, if this was really the 3-6 matchup, I could see no way that Miami could compete with the Knicks, barring the Knicks suffering an injury or multiple injuries to their players, which certainly, with the amount of minutes that these guys have been playing, is certainly possible. But a reasonably healthy New York Knicks team walks right through the Miami Heat into the conference semifinals.
Yep. All right. So now we're looking at the 4-5 matchup. We're looking at the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. Now the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh, we picked New York Knicks, right? We said that, right?
Yes,
New York
yes,
Knicks.
we're
Okay.
we're
No,
advancing the Knicks.
Milwaukee Bucks versus the Indiana Pacers. Now the Milwaukee Bucks have, and both teams have played very well over the last 10. They're both 8-2. But Milwaukee's losing right now to Portland at halftime. You seeing this, Mike?
I saw it. Yeah.
They're losing at halftime. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to lose this game, because I think they're going to win it. But um, they they're losing despite the fact that Giannis is 10 of 12 from the field with 21 points, and Dame Lillard is 5 of 10 from the field for 14 points. Who's playing well? Oh, DeAndre Ayton, Mike, has 16 points tonight. It's pretty crazy. Scoot Henderson is not playing well tonight. Anyways,
Who's got 4? He's 2 for 2, man. Come on. He's got
come
4
on, man.
assists.
Come on. He's not lighting it up, though. We were just talking about how Scoot Henderson's lighting it up. Anyways, my bottom line is, there's no way Milwaukee we can pick against Milwaukee here. Over Indiana. I can't pick against Giannis. Even though I made fun of how they started the year and they did not play well at the beginning of the year, I think we have to go with Milwaukee just because I just don't believe in Indiana. Yes, they did okay last year, but I mean, are they able? Is Pascal Siakam able to stop Giannis? Is Miles Turner able to?
No. I mean, nobody's stopping a healthy Giannis. I don't care for what team. I just don't see it happening. And okay, I gotta get him. Sorry, dog's barking. All right. I'll
All
just
right.
pick up with my. I'll just
Yeah,
pick up on.
Mike,
I'll pick
we might
on.
want to
Yeah.
just do the Eastern Conference tonight and do the Western Conference next week. So we're already at 41 minutes and we've not even gotten through the first
We'll
round yet.
we'll buzz through it, man.
I
We'll
don't
speed up.
believe you. I don't want to be here till 1 o'clock tonight.
I'll speed it up, man. We'll speed it up.
Okay, let's go. All
We'll
right.
speed it up. So I think yeah, your Pascal Siakam question there, maybe, but nobody's stopping a healthy Giannis. We just haven't seen it in the playoffs. So even though Indiana, I think they swept the Bucks last year in the regular season, this year I think Milwaukee's 2-0 maybe against the Pacers if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think you have to take a healthy Milwaukee and Giannis Antetokounmpo in that first round series against Indiana. So we
Okay.
got our
All right.
conference semifinals set.
Conference semifinal set. Okay, let's go. We're going. Oh boy, Cleveland versus Milwaukee, Mike. Now we've already beaten them 3 times this year. That was early in the year though, and Milwaukee was playing bad, and we were playing really, really good. I I feel like I have to. I'm going to take the Cavs, Mike. I feel like Mobley can do enough to slow Giannis. I'm not really afraid of Brook Lopez. He's not playing great this year, right? He's having a not so great year. Chris Middleton, we don't even know if that guy is he like able to play basketball for like the long stretches here, or is he even like?
I mean, I've heard his name tossed around. If Milwaukee's going to try to make a trade, that I've heard Middleton's name being tossed about as somebody that Milwaukee
Yeah,
might look to deal if they could bring somebody else in. So I don't know how much he has left in the tank or where he would be physically come playoff time. I think you hit it on the head that when you talk about Giannis, nobody's going to stop him. But theoretically, the Cavs with Mobley and Allen are as well equipped as just about any team to be able to at least try to slow Giannis down. Now, look, the last 2 times we've seen him healthy in the playoffs, he won a title, and then he had that epic 7-game series against Boston that they lost, where he averaged like close to 40.
yeah, but they had
So,
Drew Holiday.
right, I'm just saying you're not going to stop Giannis. I just don't think that the supporting cast is good enough, and I think this is where if the Cavs are healthy, their depth to me, I think, in their bench eventually just is able to wear Milwaukee out. I think that would be a tough series for the Cavs. I certainly don't think the Cavs are winning that in 4 or 5, but I would go ahead and advance the Cavs to the conference finals.
All right, the series that would be very in Boston, New York. That's what I'm hoping is the nice second round series right there. They can beat each other up, Mike. Right? We want them to
Yes.
beat each other up.
Yes.
Um, we've talked about. I I just don't think that Boston loses this series. Um, if the Knicks somehow get the 2 seed and Boston falls to the 3 seed, that happens in Game 7. Come on, Game 7, Madison Square Garden, Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks. I think that's exciting. That is exciting to have a Game 7 in MSG again. I don't know when the last Game 7 of importance was. Probably 94. Like I don't know. Probably 94, right?
Was the Pacers was the Pacers game 7 last year? Was that in Indiana or was that in New York when they were all hurt? Didn't certainly wouldn't have the same anticipation as a healthy Knicks team this year going against the Celtics without question. Look, I think it comes down to the Knicks just don't have the depth. Any type of injury is going to completely derail them. I still maintain, despite how good Karl Anthony Towns has been, that when he is, I don't know, he's certainly their second most
But
important
really
offensive
quick,
player.
isn't he injured right now, or is he back to playing?
It's a great question.
I feel like didn't he do something to his hand, and now they're gone 8-2, and he's not been playing.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to look that up while you're talking.
I'm looking it up right now too. I'm looking at this. Oh no, he did play. He did play yesterday. He at least played yesterday, but I feel like
Yeah, he's
he missed some games. So, but didn't he like do some chip or something in his finger or something? I feel like
Karl Anthony Towns has played 42 regular season games out of their 47. So he's missed 5 games all season. So I'd say
Well, I guess no. I'm looking at this, and he's played in all these games. I thought I had heard that he had gotten hurt and was going to miss some time, but maybe it was
Anyway,
a dream,
that could
fever dream that I was having.
that could be a good thing for the Knicks. Look, I still am not as good. Look, he's been great in the regular season. He has been. I can eat crow on the regular season. Carl Anthony Towns acquisition. He has been everything that I think the Knicks could have reasonably hoped for and more. I just don't think that come playoff time, when you're depending on this guy to help you get stops against the very best teams, which if you start talking about the Knicks having to beat the Cavs and the Celtics to get to the finals, I just don't see how Carl Anthony Towns makes that happen. So I think you have to go with Boston and make it a Boston Cleveland Eastern Conference final.
Okay. All right. What are you doing, Mike? Now, I want to just remind you that you said Cleveland was not a title contender at the beginning of the season. You said they are not a title contender.
Okay, well, let me answer the question this way. Is it certainly the Cavs have exceeded my regular season expectations at this point. I don't think there's any question about that. And certainly Boston has not played to the level that they were playing at in the regular season or in the postseason last season. But by the same token, if you were right now to line up these two teams today and have them play a 7-game series, and you ask me how confident would I feel that the Cavaliers were going to win that series, I don't know that I would feel extremely confident. I'd probably even be a little shaky with some of the other matchups that we've already talked about. But this team's just been so good in the regular season that it's hard to just say, well, none of that matters. Their playoff experience that they've had in the past, or where they've, I don't want to say underperformed. Certainly that 2 years ago against the Knicks, they underperformed. Last year, obviously, they were hurt and never really had a chance to compete with Boston and hung in there and played them tough. But I still think in this series, I'd probably have to pick the Celtics. I think that Boston is a tough matchup for the Cavs simply because Tatum and Brown with size on the wing and us struggling to find who's gonna defend those two guys. And then conversely, Boston with Derek White and Drew Holiday have two bigger guards that are physical, that are tough, that are defensive minded, that they can throw at Mitchell and Garland. That's not to say that they can stop those two guys, but they can certainly make, I think, life more difficult for Mitchell and Garland than any wings we currently have on the roster can make things on Tatum and Brown. And so I would have to pick the Celtics in this series. You're flipping a coin over there.
I am flipping a coin because I'm taking the Cavs. Mike, the Cavs were the best team against Boston in the playoffs last year, and we had half the team was injured.
Look,
Come on,
man. Look, I'm not saying the Cavs couldn't win the series. I'm just saying I would
I'm
not
taking the
feel,
Cavs, baby.
All
Home
right,
court,
all right,
Game
all right.
7, Game 7, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
Okay.
I'm taking the
So
Cavs. All right, so
Jason and I agreed before the podcast that if we did have a disagreement in any series, it would be decided by a coin flip which team would advance, so we wouldn't have to have these alternate universe playoff scenarios. So go ahead and flip the coin.
okay, so you want to go heads, Cavs, tails, Celtics?
Sure, sounds good.
All right. Oh no, I got to catch it. You win, Mike. Tails, Celtics.
All right, Celtics advance. Here we go. All
Look
right,
at you.
Western
You're
Conference.
becoming a Boston Celtics fan.
Look, I despise the Celtics. I would have loved to seen it come up heads, and I'll be rooting like heck for the Cavs. But man, I to think that they're going to beat Boston in a 7-game series, be great if they did. Be great if they did. I'm not so sure that the matchup is tremendous for the Cavs, but we'll see. Cavs have played the Celtics tough for the last since Mitchell's been here. It's never been easy for the Celtics to beat the Cavaliers.
Listen, here, are you ready? I'm going to make a bold statement. They've played tougher than any time LeBron was the member of the Cavs against the Celtics.
Could be true.
Even though we went to the finals 4 years in a row. Just
be true.
Anyways.
All right, let's go to the West.
Okay.
We're gonna try to do the West faster.
We are going to do the West faster because we're at 50 minutes already, Mike.
All right, we're doing it, man. All right, we're doing it. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. Minnesota versus Phoenix in the play-in game. Minnesota's down. Phoenix has been up. They're up 8-2 over the last 10. I guess Minnesota's 6-4. The Western Conference is just brutal, man. Look at there's 10 teams over 500, and then you look at the Eastern Conference, and there's 6, and even you look at the 11th and 12th teams in the Western Conference are barely under 500. So
Okay,
it's
but
just
can I make a counterpoint though?
yeah.
Can
Go
I
ahead.
make a counterpoint to that point? Like I agree that if you look at it, all the teams in the West, theoretically, the West is stronger near the bottom in terms of their overall record and in terms of are you more afraid of the Dallas Mavericks or the Atlanta Hawks as a 9 seed? Certainly you're more afraid of the Dallas Mavericks, but if you look at the 2, 3, 5, 6,
Well, come on.
everybody
Why are you including the Lakers in this, man? Why are you taking the Lakers, giving them flack, baby? Listen, Brody got first quarter run tonight. Come on,
look,
man.
can you see look, I know we watched Houston beat the Cavs twice. I don't see the Houston Rockets getting to the NBA Finals. I don't see the Memphis Grizzlies getting to the NBA Finals. I don't see the Lakers getting to the NBA Finals. I don't see the Clippers getting to the NBA Finals. I know I had Minnesota in my inner ring of title contenders before the season. The way their season is gone, there's no way they're making the finals. Phoenix is not making the finals. Dallas is not coming from the play-in and winning 4 series on the road with Luka in the condition that he's in. They're not getting to the finals.
Is he still
Sacramento
wheeling around?
I don't know. Sacramento is seriously not getting to the finals. Plus, they're going to probably deal De'Aaron Fox, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So it's like, to me, and Denver, we can talk about Denver's bench, which is just unbelievably
It makes the
horrendous.
Lakers bench. It looks like it makes the Lakers bench look like an all-star team.
I mean, when you look at every time you look at a Nuggets box score and you're like, okay, there's Jokic. He's got 37, 14, and 11. And then their bench combines for like 7 points. I mean, it's ridiculous how little production they're getting out of the bench. My point here is that even though these teams in the West are stronger and there's maybe more compelling matchups and maybe there's more potential for an upset,
Parity. There's more parity in the
there's more
West.
parity, but I'm not sure there aren't more title contenders in the East. Like I think Boston could win the title at this point. I think the Cavs could win it. I think the Knicks could win it if they were to be able to stay healthy.
Milwaukee could win it.
I think Milwaukee, it's crazy as it sounds, if things were to break right, I think Milwaukee could win it. And I
Hey,
think
Mike.
that's where
Mike, I'm gonna say something even bolder than that. I think if Orlando figures it out and everybody's healthy, I could even argue that Orlando in the East, like
maybe there's a scenario there. They would have to benefit from injuries and an upset somewhere along the way to help boost their case. But you're not completely crazy. And I guess if you look at that as being the case, then maybe I could add a couple other teams in the Western Conference. But I really think I will be stunned if the Western Conference representative in the finals isn't Oklahoma City or Denver.
I mean, that's fair. I think it's fair. Okay, but
right,
okay. So the whole point that was a 5-minute rant on the teams in the West without making a playoff pick. So we're off to a great start here. I'm taking Minnesota. We're taking Minnesota, right? Phoenix is terrible.
Yeah, Minnesota swept them 4-0 in the playoffs last year. I can't imagine that going really much differently than it did. The past season.
Okay.
So yeah, Minnesota advances.
Okay, Dallas and Sacramento. Okay, we've already highlighted Dallas is a question mark with Luka. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Sacramento's playing better with Doug Christie as the coach. They're 7-3 in the last 10. But as you highlighted, it's been rumored that Fox is going to get dealt. Whether that actually happens or if it's just smokescreen, I don't know. But if this was the actual series, like right now, Mike, okay, so I know we didn't really talk about this. Are we talking about the current iteration or are we talking about the theoretical Luka's back iteration?
I think we're talking about the theoretical Luka's back.
Okay, then I'm taking Dallas, right? I mean, Dallas.
I think you have to take Dallas here.
I think you have to take Dallas against Phoenix too. Honestly, like I just don't.
In the next round, I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree. So we're gonna make Dallas the 8 seed. Real quick on the Sacramento De'Aaron Fox. Good move for San Antonio to try to get De'Aaron Fox, which is
Well,
the
that's the rumor.
replacement
That's the rumor
of
that he wants to go
where
to
he's
San Antonio.
Do you like that if you're do you like it if you're San Antonio?
I mean,
Are you happy with that if you're a if you're
okay.
San
I know I'm
Antonio?
not I don't have as much excitement for Fox as you do.
I like Fox. I think he'd be great with
But I think, but listen, you didn't let me finish.
Okay, go,
I think it
man.
would be a good move. I think it would be a good move for him to go there with Wemby. He can learn from Chris Paul for the rest of the season. And, Chris Paul seems very happy and he's been producing. So, because he only signed a 1-year contract, right? Chris Paul?
Correct.
But he never said this is my last year. So he's done enough. And he's not, I don't think he's commanding, I don't think he's making a ton of money, right? I don't think he's making like a ton of money. But I think if they have a successful enough season, which I know they're currently out of the playoffs because they've had a 3-7 stretch, and that was included in a weird. They had to go. They went to Paris and played in France. And did you see video? Did you see the video of Wemby playing in youth basketball? Did you see that video that was circulated?
I saw.
Dude, he was awkward as heck. Like,
yeah, he did not. You would not have flagged him as being a guy who was a future superstar in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
He was definitely awkward.
But anyways, I think that would be a good move for San Antonio. I think that'd be a good move for Fox. I think San Antonio easily is playing if Fox is on their team.
I agree. I think Fox is criminally underrated just because he plays in Sacramento. And I think you put him in a stable organization with better teammates and a winning situation. And I think he becomes even more valuable. And I just think that it would be a really, really good fit. And now you're whatever, you can build out your roster and maybe because to me, Fox is a guy who, if Wemby becomes the type of player that everybody thinks he's going to become, which is a clear AA, for lack of a better way of saying it, like we're talking best player in the league type of player. To me, Fox is almost a perfect complement to that guy because Fox is not ever going to be in a situation where he would try to usurp Wemby as the best player, but yet he would be a great number 2. And obviously they complement each other in terms of where they play on the floor and how they like to score and all those things. And like I said, I think Fox is I think he's undervalued because he's played in Sacramento. And so I'd love to see that trade. So anyway, all right. So we've advanced Minnesota and Dallas out of the play-in in the Western Conference.
All right. We're going to go 1-8. We're going to go Oklahoma City and Dallas. Oklahoma City. Done. Oklahoma City is great. They're great. They're great on offense. They're great at defense. They score a lot of points. They have the highest differential in the league, average plus 12.3 points per game. They're just continuing to play well. They're 37-8, best record in basketball. There's no way I'm picking the Dallas Mavericks versus Oklahoma City.
Dallas 4-2 last year.
It's different. It's different. It's different.
No Chet.
Luke. It's different.
Maybe Chet's back. Maybe he's not back by then.
I don't care. Just Oklahoma City's running away with this series.
All right. So, I'm gonna leave my Oklahoma City.
You want a coin flip on the 1-8 game, Mike?
No. I'll go.
You're gonna get pissed at me at the 4-5 game. So if you want to do it now, do it.
I'll go Oklahoma City. Let's go Oklahoma City. I'm good.
Okay.
Let's go Oklahoma City. We'll advance them.
Houston.
I'll leave my questions for them in upcoming rounds. Go ahead.
Houston, Minnesota.
It's a fun series.
It's a fun series. Houston's obviously not experienced the playoffs, right? They weren't in the playoffs last year, right? They didn't get in the play-in last year, right? Nope. They've gone 32-14. Mike, I'm going to say this. Are they the team that's Oklahoma City Thunder from last year, where they're going to be too green and not know how to play with. Here's the difference, though. Their coach has been there, right? Udoka's been there. He's had success. He's going to be prepared for it. He's going to know how to handle the ebbs and flows of the playoffs. Minnesota's also been there. They have not performed well in the regular season, as well as a lot of people had. I mean, I think at the beginning of the year, I had them in the 3 or the 4 spot. And there's still time for them to get in that 4 spot. They're only, 3 games out. But I think we have to go Houston here. But if you want to lobby for Minnesota, I say that Minnesota would win the series. I won't even coin flip it. I'll go with you. I will go with whatever you go with, because I really think this literally to me is a coin flip series. I honestly believe it.
Here's what I would say about this particular matchup. I think when you look at Minnesota and the way that they've played this year, and then you look at Houston and what their strengths are, Minnesota super reliant on Anthony Edwards, and I think in a playoff scenario, probably even more so. And then you look at what Houston could potentially throw at Anthony Edwards in this series. So you start with Amen Thompson, who, since he's gone into the starting lineup, he's averaging something like 17, 13, and 5.
Game winner last night.
Game winner against the Celtics. Just uber athletic, jumps out of the gym, super strong, high basketball IQ. I mean, the only thing he can't really do on the floor is shoot it. And that doesn't even matter, because defensively what he's able to do, he's just a wrecking ball. And you take him, you take Dylan Brooks, you take Jabari Smith when he comes back healthy, you take Tari Eason. You just have a lot of long, athletic, physical guys that Houston can throw at Edwards. And you're not going to stop Edwards, but I certainly think Houston's in a position to slow him down. And if you slow him down at all, now where does Minnesota turn for offense? And I might like Minnesota against some of these other teams, but I don't like them against Houston. And so I would definitely pick the Rockets in a series between Minnesota and Houston at this point.
Okay, so you want to go with Houston. I'm okay with that.
Correct. Yep.
All right. 3-6. I think we're going to be in agreement on this series. The Memphis Grizzlies. Well, maybe not. Memphis Grizzlies versus the Los Angeles Clippers. Are we going to hypothetically believe that Kawhi Leonard is playing in this series? Because
we can believe Kyle. Let's.
Is he playing? Has he played since the fires?
He's playing. Yeah, he's playing. He played last night. He had 17 last night.
Okay. I'm just not a believer in the Clippers, Mike. They got to
come on. They have Harden. Can we just end the analysis here? The Los Angeles Clippers have James Harden as probably their most important player. Therefore, we're going to advance the Memphis Grizzlies into the second round. Can we just
all right, Mike. Here's the one. You're going to get annoyed with me.
There's no way you're going to
get ready, baby.
You're going to make me take Jokic in a coin flip. All right, go ahead. Give me your thought process.
No. I'm just messing with you. We have to go with Denver. Denver's owned the Lakers in the playoffs the last 2 years. That's the bottom line, right? Listen. Here's what you need to know. The Lakers got blown out by Philly tonight without George, Embiid, or any of them. I mean, Maxey played. And JJ Redick was asked after the game, why did Bronny James play in the first quarter? And when JJ Redick said, I put Bronny in because I thought he'd bring some energy to the team. If you're relying on Bronny James to bring some energy to your team, what kind of team are you coaching? I mean, listen, I want to just point this out. The Lakers had won 4 in a row and had been playing fantastic basketball for tonight. So, like Anthony Davis had a monster game the other night, and it was against Charlotte. I get that. Well, I understand that. But Anthony Davis has been playing well. LeBron's been playing well. Okay. They were abysmal tonight. The stat line, Mike, I don't know if you have the box score up. And the result of the game only ended up being 14, but at one point it was much That was after the Lakers won the fourth quarter. Okay. Anthony Davis tonight, 10 minutes. Guess who got hurt? 10 minutes. 2 of 3 in those 10 minutes. Okay. LeBron James. LeBron James had a great game, Mike. 10 of 16 from the field, 10 of 11 from the free throw line, 31 points. He was minus 11, Mike. Okay. So listen, I don't know.
The Lakers have a negative point differential this season when LeBron's on the floor, which hasn't happened since his rookie season.
But,
so
Bronny James, 15 minutes tonight, Mike. 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from behind the arc. I will say though, did you see Bronny's poster in G League?
I did not.
Oh, it was great. It was actually really, really, really good. He was and one and everything. It was awesome. It was a good dunk. And it was the G League. I get that. Sign him up for. Why isn't he? Wait a second. NBA.
His dad wouldn't do it, so there's no way.
What the hell? NBA. Come on, NBA. No, come on, NBA. Bronny.
There's no way. No.
Dunk contest.
No.
Bronny James versus Mac McClung, the NBA G League dunk contest duel.
Let's save that for the G League All-Star game. I'm all for that, but I don't need to see either one of those guys in the NBA dunk
but listen,
contest.
that's the even crazier thing, Mike. Bronny has played minutes in the NBA this year, and Mac McClung has played 0.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Look, there's no way the Lakers are beating the Nuggets in a 7-game series if Jokic is healthy. The dude is averaging a triple-double, and he's shooting 57% from the floor and 47% from 3. It's ridiculous what the guy is doing. I mean, it's obviously a 2-horse race for MVP, and because of how good the Thunder's been, it seems like the sentiment has sort of shifted towards SGA. But Jokic's season is probably, from a just pure offensive numbers standpoint, it's probably the best offensive season, I don't know, in 50 years. I mean, it really is. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, what he's doing across the board, and the numbers don't really even capture his impact on how he makes his teammates better and just how everything flows through him when he's out on the floor. I mean, Denver's going to win that series. Let's just advance Denver and move on. We can talk about their shortcomings as we get to the next series.
Oh, the shortcomings, Oklahoma City versus Denver. By the way, did we advance all the higher seeds? Wow, we were really brazen with our picks, Mike. The only lower seed we advanced was Dallas advancing over Phoenix.
Well, we talked about parity, and I'm not sure we're 100% wrong in what we just did, but look, the NBA probably more so than any other league is typically chalk tends to advance is the way that it usually works. So if you're picking multiple upsets, you're probably going to be wrong.
All right. Oklahoma City versus Denver. It's got to be Oklahoma City. Listen, Denver has nothing that can match the fire, the bench. Talking about the polar opposite teams, the bench of the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the bench of the Denver Nuggets. That would be like putting the 2015, 2016 Warriors against the current Washington Wizards. Okay. Like the Thunder, the bench of the Thunder is just fantastic. The bench of the Nuggets, you or I may as well be sitting on the bench. Like,
all right, can I make a counterpoint?
Go ahead, make a counterpoint.
And I'm not advocating in any way, shape, or form for Denver's bench. Okay, because Denver's bench, when you look at their statistics, right? So Russell Westbrook, who is currently starting in place of Aaron Gordon, who's just coming back from injury. If you take Russ, you have 6 guys for the Nuggets that are averaging double figures. And then you go to Strother at 9, Peyton Watson at 8, and then it drops down to Dario Saric at 3.8. So basically you're talking about you have an 8-man rotation that Denver can actually put in, and Strother and Peyton Watson are guys 7 and 8. And Russ is guy number 6, which none of that really engenders a whole lot of confidence in me that you're going to get a ton out of the bench. And yet at the same time, if Jamal Murray, who's been playing better lately, if Jamal Murray gets back to playoff Murray, 95% of what Jamal Murray has been in past playoffs, the top end of that Nuggets roster is still, you're still talking about, it's the championship nucleus. It's the four most important guys. I mean, depending on how you want to argue KCP versus Michael Porter Jr., you still arguably have the four most important players from a team that won a title in your starting lineup. And then I look at Oklahoma City and okay, so obviously Shea has been incredible. Nobody has been able to even come remotely close to figuring this guy out and stopping him from getting to wherever he wants to go on the floor. He's probably been the most deadly scorer in the entire league for this whole season. But yet, I look at the rest of the roster and I think if Shea's having a bad night or a team is game planning for Shea and they're running at him and they're forcing him to give up the ball, and I look at the rest of the lineup and I say, who do I trust that I know is going to be able to make secondary plays? Do I think Jalen Williams is a top flight number 2 guy on a championship team? If you went around the league and said, where does Jalen Williams rank on the second tier guy for a championship team? I don't think he would be at the very top of that list. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So then you have Chet, who hasn't played, obviously, and is maybe going to come back at some point. And what kind of condition is he going to be in? How sharp is he going to be in? I don't know that you can count on him to be your second guy. Then you got Hartenstein. You got Dort, who's averaging 9 points a game, shooting 40% from three. But am I super confident that Lou Dort is going to be banging down critical 3-point shots over the course of a 7-game series at the highest level? I'm not super confident in that. Then I have Aaron Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, AJ Mitchell, the big Jalen Williams, Caruso. I mean, like, I like what they do defensively, and maybe they just smother their way to an NBA title, but I'm not convinced that this team offensively is, I don't know. You have to depend on, you have to think that Jalen, if you think this team is going to win the NBA championship, you have to believe that Jalen Williams is going to come through in a lot of huge moments. You think about what Jaylen Brown did, right? Even though he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown was still considered a number 2. Is Jalen Williams, do we think he's going to come through in any way, shape, or form close to what Jaylen Brown did last year? I don't think that's the case. I'm going to pick Denver in this series.
All right, we're coin flipping.
All right, let's do it.
Heads is Oklahoma City, tails is Denver.
Okay.
Oklahoma City wins it this time. We got heads.
All right, there we go.
Heads. All right.
Come on.
Then we're looking at the 2-3 Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets. I don't feel great about either of these teams, and we've already established that they're not. We don't think they're title contenders, right? You already established that. You felt that way.
Yeah, I don't think either one of these teams really is.
So whoever we pick, we're automatically just going to advance to Oklahoma City, right? Is that what we're agreeing right now?
I think I probably would have to do that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, so I'm going to say I probably, based on what I'm seeing in the resurgence of Amen Thompson, I'm going to go Houston here. I just don't have confidence. I mean, Ja has done a pretty good job of staying healthy, and he has definitely stayed out of trouble, which that's half the battle for that guy. So, but I just can't pick against Houston right now. After watching what they've done this week, in the last 9 days, beating Cleveland twice, beating Boston, going to Atlanta after beating Boston, and tonight, and they got off to a really strong start and they weathered the storm. Atlanta kind of came back. I just feel like I have to go with. I'm gonna take Houston.
These teams are very similar in that they both have really good depth and a lot of guys that contribute. If I look at their stat line compared to, let's say, Denver's, you have a bunch of guys that are contributing up and down the roster for both of these teams. I think, again, Houston is well equipped to be able to defend what Memphis can put out on the floor. If you're telling me I'm getting 100% healthy Ja for the entire playoff run for Memphis, I might feel differently, but it feels like he's a guy who is either hurt or at least nicked up even when he's playing. And therefore, that limits to some degree his effectiveness. I'm not sure how much I trust Jaren Jackson's offense game to game, series to series. And so I just like the fact that Houston's defense and athleticism is something that's going to show up every single game. And their offense may come and go, but I like the idea of their athleticism matching up against Memphis's whatever big three of Bane, Jackson, and Ja. And so I'm going to go ahead and take Houston as well. So let's advance the Rockets to the Western Conference Finals.
Okay. So then we're gonna take that, and we're just gonna push Oklahoma State through. We're pushing them through.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma City wins that series on the back of Shea. And again, Houston can throw a ton of defenders at Shea, but unlike almost anybody else that we could mention or that we've talked about tonight, it seems like Shea is able to just score through and around anybody that teams throw at him. So I think, to me, he's the difference in that game. That would be a super fun, physical, athletic versus athletic series. But I think Shea makes the difference and puts Shea into the finals.
Okay. All right. So then we're going Boston versus Oklahoma City in the finals. I'm gonna hate to do this, but I'm taking Boston. I mean, I just don't. Oklahoma City. I mean, you were gonna pick against Oklahoma City against Denver, and I would have taken Boston over Denver, Mike. I just don't think that if this is the series, there's no way Boston's losing the series.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think if Boston gets to the NBA Finals, they will have beaten most likely at least two very good teams, and possibly, depending on how the matchups go, like we had them playing Orlando. So potentially three very, very good teams. The Eastern Conference is going to not be the cakewalk that it was last season unless the same number of injuries strike and teams are just without a lot of their key players the way they were last year. It doesn't seem like that's the way things are shaping up. So that you're going to have a tested Eastern Conference team get to the finals. In this case, if it's the Celtics, especially with the championship win last year and the experience that they gained, I think Oklahoma City would have a really hard time being able to beat the Celtics. And I think the Celtics would have, again, the key is you're never going to stop these great players like Shea, but Boston has a lot of guys that they can throw at them to slow him down, to make him less efficient. And I just personally don't trust the rest of that Oklahoma City roster. I trust them on one end of the floor. Defensively, fine. Offensively, you're asking an awful lot of Jalen Williams to go 4 playoff rounds and be the second banana to Shea, to be able to pick up the slack in big moments or to be able to play make when Shea gets double teamed. And I just don't think the rest of their roster has enough offensive firepower to sustain the amount of attention that Shea's going to get in the postseason. And look, like as you said, I probably would have had them losing to Denver, but we advanced them via the coin flip. So I don't see how Boston doesn't win this Oklahoma City matchup in the finals. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Celtics as well.
All right. We did it, Mike.
We did it.
Hour and 21 minutes later.
The Boston Celtics are our predicted NBA champions in
Mike.
2025. I certainly
Well,
hope this
that's
does
based
not
on our current. That's based on our current.
listen.
Our current.
I certainly hope this does not take place. I certainly hope we're sitting here saying that we shouldn't have gone with the coin flip. We should have just gone with the Cavs. But my heart tells me Cavs. My head tells me that I'm not sure the Cavs are ready to win an NBA championship this year. But it's definitely. I feel like it's kind of the Eastern Conference feels more wide open. I feel like the Cavs certainly could get to the finals. Like I said earlier, I think the Knicks could get there. I think Milwaukee could get there. Your case for Orlando, if things were to break right, I don't think is crazy. And out west, like I said, Oklahoma City can certainly get there. I think Denver can get there. And I don't know. I'm not sure any other team can win 3 rounds and advance to the finals, but we'll see.
We'll have to see. We'll wait and see, Mike.
There we go. All right. Well, we'll leave it there. We appreciate you checking out this week's NBA episode, and we will be back with another one next week. So thanks for checking this one out, and we will catch you on our next episode. Thanks. Whew. All right, man. Good work.
Yep, knocked it out.
Knocked it
Knock
out.
it out. All right. Well, don't stay up too late editing.
I won't. Well, now the editing, I don't even. I mean, all I'll do now is just cut the, just cut the part